is it. Backs against the wall for Cognitive. I mean, you know, I think I don't know what COG could do here. There, you know, Envy is kind of focused on them very well, and just to even highlight it again, the Hui ban that comes through at the start, right, just immediately eliminates that potential threat that they could have.
Sure.
And for Cognitive, they have to ban out Omega. They have to not allow him to have either Shing 10 or Bellona. Definitely not Bellona. So
Not Bellona.
What do you do here? I mean, do you ban it out? Here's the thing: because I believe they get first pick.
They'll get their option.
They'll get
They
their
have
option.
their option.
They'll get their option. If they don't get if they don't take first pick, which I would imagine they would, but you know, why not? They could take Bellona and ban out Shing 10. Maybe.
Could. In theory, but it really comes down to, you know, I saw my buddy hi-rez Chris out there was like, why would they not take away the Kukulkan yet? I don't understand. And as long as Ally doesn't have a lot of the setup, and Air Cougar pointed this out, if he doesn't have a lot of CC to guarantee the damage from the Kukulkan, I mean, he only did 11,000 player damage there, so they don't really have to worry about it. But I think if you just get Allied out of that comfort zone of, okay, this is Kukulkan, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to throw out my tornadoes, and I'm going to do the serpent thing, right? As long as you get him out of that comfort zone, maybe he plays an aggressive Giannis and he gets first blooded, right? There is a possibility there that you could look for, but I still think it's the Omega.
His Janus, though, I don't know. His Janus it's the same thing. He has one of the most unique Januses I've ever seen.
Really?
He'll sit in the back and he'll literally just 2 over walls. And you never even see him. And he doesn't use portals to try to like portal someone on the ground. He'll only portal a wall for his teammates just to get out.
Well, let's see if that actually, you know, happens. I mean, again, we did see the Giannis spawn, I believe, in game 1. So I think in game 2 as well. No, actually, it was open.
Not game 2.
It was open in game 2, but they opted to go for the Kukulkan anyway. So, I mean, we'll see how this goes. You know, I believe picks and bans should be starting up in just a little bit. But I guess, you know, some more analysis from that game. What more can COG do on their end? You know, is there... Do they, for one, also, how was the Bastet pick for them in your guys' opinion? Did you feel like that worked out for them well? Should they look to do something like that again, Adonis?
I kind of agreed with Air Cougar during picks and bans. I think the Hun Bats would have been better. I don't think Shing had the best game 1 on it. And I almost feel like Cognitive Gaming kind of got scared of running that Hun Bats pick. But it just causes so much disruption, especially when you're running a Hell. You want that protection, especially for the early and mid game, because their team comp was designed to go late game.
Yep.
It was the Jington, Hell, and just a lot of poke from the Neath. Unfortunately, Envy didn't let them. And I think a lot of that came to the fact that Bastet really wasn't able to do anything. And having that Hun Bats, I think, would have given them better disruption.
Yeah, especially when they have something like Athena and Shing 10, they could have built something really bursty, and the only burst they even had was the Neath route. And other than that, you just have Razor Claws from the Bastet. So I would have rather seen, even if they could have gotten the Odin earlier, even a Bird Bomb off of a taunt, that's an insta-kill.
That's a good point. I think the big testament here is the fact that Envy is used to Shing's tactics, right, from playing him throughout the SPL all season long in 2015. And the main claim to fame of Shing has always been like that early game cheese strat, right, where they just try to invade and just 5-man invade, they group up, and then it's just an early fight where they try to catch him off guard. But Envy's been so smart at always defending it. They're throwing defensive wards down, they're splitting the map up, right? And they're basically saying, okay, you're coming, okay, we see you from a mile away, you can't do this. So with that off the table, they really have to fight him straight up. But I really do think the key is going to have to be around the early game. I would love to see the Hun Bats get picked up and really just see Shing get more involved in the early game. He can't be afraid.
Yeah, that's going to be a key for him for sure, and hopefully that is the case. I mean, you know, COG, they know that this is it, right? This long journey that they took to get to this point, you know, could very well end today. Or Envy comes out on top, a team that came out of the open bracket, of course, a squad of well-known PC Smite players who went to console, learned how to play with a controller. That is definitely something to be impressed about, because you know it's not easy to do that. But guys, who do you think's going to take this out in the crowd? Do you think COG Gaming's going to take this one force to game 4? That was a little dead. That was a little dead. There was that one guy.
I think everyone's rooting for Envy here.
There was that one guy. He was like, yeah, man, go. And that was it. That was him. And what about Envy? Oh, goodness gracious.
There's a lot of Envy fans in here. And honestly, rightfully so, because three members of Envy, really, Weekend, Allied, and Incon, have really done so much for this community. And whether it's streaming every single day or putting out YouTube content to really grow the scene, they've done such a phenomenal job. The only other person you can really say is in the same category is DM Brandon, who also just does so much. So having these guys out here is just such a benefit, and I'm really thankful to have them on the main stage.
Well, guys, here we go. It's going to be game number 3, and this could very well be the last one. We see Hu Guan Yu, Shing 10, and Kepri come out, and Bellona to COG. So that is exactly. Hey, man. I called that one.
Alex, you're a cornucopia of knowledge.
I truly am. Wow, that was a good one, buddy. I don't have a response to that.
Envy continues to ban away Paul and take away from him. We saw in game 1, he actually had a pretty solid Chiron. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert that into the win, but Hou banned every time, and that's Envy's strategy. They feel like Paul right now is the guy to watch out for. They're making sure CycloneSpin feels comfortable and has a very lane-dominant duo.
Absolutely. Paul is definitely one of the scariest players on COG, and he's carried multiple times, especially during the MOG event. So seeing them pick Chiron again for Envy, I really want to see the Freya come out so Paul gets a chance to really show everyone what he can do.
And COG's picks and bans so far are very strategic here. Ban away the Jington as you have the first pick. It basically force Envy to decide what you want to take away.
Okay.
And now they're highlighting Odin, so you were expecting this last game.
For sure.
Because it wasn't banned away, but Shing going to have that pretty early aggressive warrior.
Big Daddy Zeus.
Eager straps coming out from COG right now.
The gods of gods have been locked in. That's awesome.
That
Odin
beard
and
is
Zeus.
so good.
Actually,
And who better to go against Zeus than the almighty Thor?
Well, you know, I mean, Odin kind of got his song on check. You know what I mean? Maybe this is it.
I feel
we've all seen the movie.
You can stick him in timeout.
I feel in the soul lane we could
read
either
the comic
see, I feel like we could see a Hades, but I also feel like Omega just personally prefers Osiris over it. I think Hades is the proper pick for Envy, but I still feel like Osiris will be what goes there.
I think you're spot on with that. Personally, I would love to see the tier. Even though it's not the best matchup, I just love seeing what Omega can do with the tier. And they've taken away the Kukulkan here. Now, this is going to force Envy into a decision. And if he does Hubwa, I'm going to freak out because Hubwa is so difficult to use on the Xbox One. Insane. Anything with the Y-axis.
Bellona. It's Zeus, Odin, Bellona. It's actually the worst pick you could have there.
But locks in the Hades instead. And all right, good job on the Kukulkan.
I'm really interested to see what COG picks here to peel for the Zeus, because that's the most important thing right now.
Ooh, big man.
How are they going to help the Zeus survive the Thor dunks?
And it looks like Kumbo. Like that's the best thing you can have for peel.
Yep. Kumbhakarna at the very beginning days of Xbox One Smite was considered the best, or basically the best Guardian possible. And now we saw him get a little bit of jungle love there. Weekend did it a couple times on PC Smite, but really Kumbha just has such a big impact in all of these fights. And the big thing about Kumbha is people sleep on how much damage he does.
And it's gustavY who has been known as the primary Kumbha player on Xbox.
Absolutely.
Kumbha gets locked in here, folks. Let's see what that final pick is going to be for COG. And you called it before.
This is like a perfect lineup for this.
This is a perfect lineup for COG.
So at this point, it all comes down to execution, right? Absolutely. They need to just do it in the game.
Yep, absolutely.
Hades mid.
No way.
No, he's not going to.
There's no way he's going to do this. And if it is, this is the Weekend curse, because Weekend, for some reason, every time like a tournament's close to being online, he's like, oh, I want to play Nemesis.
I was as a Jetpack Fighter fan, I actually really wanted Nemesis. Okay, Osiris.
This could be a thing.
So,
the Hades mid could be a thing.
Hades mid.
As I said, Hades was a perfect pick against the Zeus Odin. It has the escape, and it's also very good for locking down Zeus. But Omega just wants to play Osiris.
Yeah, that's all he wants to do. But the big thing is, how does Hades actually get in to deal with Zeus?
Well, we're only going to have to see that in the game, Gandhi. So let's go ahead and make these predictions. Gandhi, start with you.
I'm going Cognitive Gaming in this one.
Cougs?
Envy.
I like COG's lineup once again, but Envy's going to take it.
All right, I actually would like to see a game 4.
That's what I'm saying.
So, you know, I'm going to go with COG. All right, I'm going to go with COG because I want to see a game 4. I want to see Envy play more Smite as well as Cognitive Gaming. All right, folks, make some noise. This could very well be it. Backs against the wall for Cognitive Gaming. Or will Envy cement themselves as history-making champions in Xbox One? Only one way to find out. Time to dive into the game. Casters, take us away.
Thanks a lot, Golden Boy. We're back here on the Casters Mezzanine. I'm here with Husey, and right away, I'm going to you immediately. You've been talking to me on camera, off camera, everywhere about you want to see Shing Odin.
We saw in their games against the where Shing used Odin in both of their games and just absolutely dominate with it, shut down the mid lane completely to the point where we were calling it Shing's ring, basically. And it was just a really potent force, and it just speaks to Shing as a player. So much early game aggression. It's got mobility as well. I would have liked to see them let KikiSoCheeky through to trap him in there. With the Hades, he's going to be able to get out of it.
You said that to me as well, but I think leaving KikiSoCheeky, taking KikiSoCheeky out is good, because if you don't trap him in the ring, he can still drop tornadoes that will cover the entire ring and actually put Shing under some pressure there. So I understand still banning the KikiSoCheeky. What I do like, I'm going to say it, Kumbhakarna. The reason I'm looking forward to Kumbhakarna here is because the amount of control he can bring to these team fights, he's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on. On paper, Cognitive Gaming have this in picks and bans for me.
It actually synergizes really well with the Zeus. You get a root off with the Kumbhakarna. How are you supposed to get out of the Zeus ultimate?
It also, yeah, it confirms the Zeus ultimate more than anything else, as well as can continue with an Eagles rally coming in from soupskitchen there. And Paul's able to get his pulse at the right time for the landing and have it procced, ready to deal damage.
It seems like there's a lot of excitement for the lineup that Cognitive Gaming has brought up. And looking over at Envy, you know, I have one thing that's really sticking out to me is just how opposite this Hades is from the KikiSoCheeky. Now, Hades mid is a great choice. I actually like this choice. But just the idea of KikiSoCheeky was, I'm going to sit back as far as possible and fire off mortar artillery. Hades is the opposite. He's got to go right on it.
He is, but what you're looking for, when you're against an Odin Zeus combo, this goes back all the way to early season 1, is you're looking for escapability.
Yep.
I actually said to Hughes, you reckon we'll see a Scylla here? Because that's something that's very good at getting away. It's one of the only mages that can escape the ring of Odin. This time around, though, we're going to see the Guardian in mid.
We could see actually Weekend and Omega invade the blue buff there, taking that one away from soupskitchen, looking towards the speed buff, but Shing wasn't even looking at. They went for the mid camp straight away.
Allied's in trouble already. Allied's going to be dead. 40 seconds on the clock. Cognitive Gaming get first.
This is exactly the way they needed to start. Not only does it give them an early golden XP lead, but it's all about the confidence, the mental game.
And look at this, they're looking for the invade on the back, on the speed buff here, but immediately Weekend and Omega notice this could be going on, rotate round to it, and the call came out nicely from soupskitchen. Communication is good.
Much different tempo we have in this one. Last time, First Blood came in about, I think, 12 minutes.
Yeah, and already
This time around,
off to a good start. I said they need to go early, Cognitive. They can't rest on their laurels and wait for the late game. They've got to go heavy.
But they've also gone secure for, if it does go to late game, they've got that Freya there to just shred through Envyus.
And the longer the game, you're still going to have like Kumbhakarna when he gets full cooldown reduction, ridiculous amounts of CC to control these fights as well. And the late game composition of Envy, not as strong this time around.
The Kumbhakarna really helps out Freya in lane, provides a lot of poke and lane clear to complement the Freya, so to get her through that early game.
Yeah, the throwback really does synergize well, but the issue is he can put himself in a bit of danger from the taunts, which you can see there, but a good yarn from gustavY gets him out of the danger.
Great mesmerize there to keep him out of danger. This duo lane is going to be a very interesting one to watch. CycloneSpin's Chiron has been fantastic.
Has been very, very strong for the most of the tournament. Use the ultimate defensively very, very early on if he needs to keep himself going. Omega, first one to reach level 5, though. No surprise there.
We've talked about how good Cognitive's lineup is. The one point, though, I'd like to make, which is kind of a negative, is Zeus has got very little mobility, and mobility is king on Xbox, given how hard it is to juke and run away from skill shots. With the Zeus, it's got no escapability. Look for Envyus to really pick on that mid lane.
And that's against the Hades as well. Allied's Hades can get him trapped inside the ultimate and keep him pinned there. There's no escape for him. He'll have to just stand and fight.
And let's not forget about Weekend's Thor as well, which is apparently fantastic here on the Xbox. Getting down some of those dunks or the walls, trapping in that Zeus is going to be a rough time for Freya in the mid.
Thor makes the rotation over to the mid lane. It looked like, it almost looked like for a moment, I started pointing to the screen. It almost looked like we would see a rotation over to the dual lane by both Weekend and Allied, but instead they shied right back over to the mid.
Back to the dual lanes, tuning in with those guys, continuing to farm. Should be hitting level 5 relatively soon over on this side as well. Shing, level 5 in the mid lane here on that Odin, so expect to see him try to combine with Freya relatively soon. If they can catch Weekend's hammer down, they can look for a pick.
Are you guys ready for the confusion about Freya being played in the dual lane and Freya the mid?
No, because from now on we're going to call Zeus.
All right.
There we go. That's how you deal with silly names. Call him Zeus.
Alrighty, so Shing with that red pot start did manage to get himself some early aggression. The first one clicked up on Allied, I think, is really essential. Not only does Allied have had the most farm in these last couple of games, I mentioned just kind of the confidence factor that it's going to bring to Cognitive. Get themselves mentally back in this one.
Mentally back in one is the key here. They've got to get off to a good start. They've had that to begin with, but they need to continue to mobilize on this. They can't just sit back and continue to just allow Envy to continue farming, because when it gets to team fights, they're showing that they're stronger.
Exactly, especially when it comes to this mid lane choice of this Hades, this team fight. As long as the Pillar of Agony is pulled at the right moment, we always discuss how important that is. You look at the guys on Eager, Dwarst plays a very good Hades. They tried to swap it around to Columbus, it didn't work out.
Omega invading the blue buff there, taking a little bit of damage. Nice wall there from Weekend. There goes Shing's ring down onto Omega. No healing for him. Great dunk down onto him. Shing picks himself up a kill, and Allied's in trouble.
Weekend just get the kill though on one side onto the Zeus, and they actually pick up Allied as well through soupskitchen. Good backwards and forwards between the two teams, but it's 2 for 1 in favor of Cognitive early.
Team Envy, right there, that's what I was talking about. The Pillar of Agony came out directly inside of a Zeus ult. That's not, unfortunately for Allied, the strongest spot to deploy that ult, because you can't move.
A lot of times you hear from professional players, and in not only esports but in sports as well, when you have best of 5, best of 7 series, you have to take it one game at a time. Now, often you hear that from a losing team, teams that are down in the series, but I think it's equally as important for winning teams. I think Envyus, their lead is continued from the 2 games rather than being even in this one.
Resting on the laurels could really hurt them a little bit, because if they do lose this game, then it will give the confidence to Cognitive to try and power through for the game 4 as well, which can tie it all up. We saw that in Epsilon versus Cloud9 yesterday. Those opportunities do present themselves sometimes, and if Cognitive can do that, that's great. But Envy, well, they should be well aware of that. They've been in these situations before.
Yeah, and again, what happened in that exchange is really what I was afraid of with this Hades pick for Allied, is just how opposite it is. It's so upfront and personal, as for last game, it came from a distance.
If you subscribe to, if you follow Allied on Twitch and subscribe to him, you would have noticed a lot of times that he plays a lot of Hades. I mean, you know, whatever. He does play a lot of Hades, so it's not something he's completely unfamiliar with as opposed to the Kukulkan.
Yeah, no, not at all. I was just going, just sort of thinking about the take one game at a time. Sometimes when you're really tanky towards the end of a game and you start the next game, you're nowhere near as tanky as you thought you were because you have 0 items again. That's the thought process. Allied gets into 2-game rhythm playing from a distance. Now he's got to be up front.
Omega starting to bully soupskitchen in this lane for the time being, but soupskitchen due back to base relatively soon to buy some items anyway, because he's got a little bit of gold in his pocket. So probably pick up the teleport here, so if he doesn't want to miss any way, but it doesn't look like Omega's pushing. Telelight looks like he is now, and there's actually no teleport coming out this time from soupskitchen, so he's going to lose a couple of minions to the tower.
Looking towards the duel, and we can see CycloneSpin pushing that one up very heavily. That's exactly what you'd expect to see with the Chiron versus Freya matchup this early in the game.
Really surprised by the penetration build, but look at this boxing match between Cyclone and Paul as well. They're looking for the pick on Paul. He's in the sky, but look at where gustavY's position, just hanging at the back, making sure that he's not going to fall down. Now he's going in though, by the looks of it, looking for a big play here. gustavY with the ultimate coming out onto him, looking for Cyclone with the groggy strike, does connect. Here comes reinforcements from Shing.
Shing doesn't manage to land the dunk, but there is the ring. CycloneSpin's got no way to get out of this one. Freya's here as well, just to confirm the kill. Shing credited to another one, and Cognitive up 4-1.
One of the biggest issues I see out of Chiron is the inability to get out of the Odin ring, and Xbox players are exploiting that. No leaps like a lot of the other hunters have.
Taking a look at the open bracket, I saw that a lot when CycloneSpin was playing this Chiron. The other teams would often pick Odin just to trap him in there. And, you know, as you said, no escapes. He does have his ultimate, but it was burned very early on.
Exactly.
Happened against Eager yesterday as well, so he should have been well aware that could be a possibility for him. But he likes the pick, and it's worked out well so far. Still not dropped a set of the boys of Envy all tournament, including going through the whole open bracket as well. So they're in a good spot right now.
Shing takes some damage from Omega. Now it's a 2-on-1. Help from Weekend sends Cognitive back safely into the lane.
Mid lane, taking a look towards that way, we see the penetration boots coming up from Zeus.
Nice steal.
You know, even though there's no cooldown on those boots, I like the penetration going up against the very tanky lineup that we see coming out from Team Envyus. We've got 2 Guardians, we've got Osiris, and we've got Thor.
Oh, right now,
He's in a lot of
Envy,
trouble there.
they've got... they don't have gustavY.
Well, the thing about gustavY here as well, he went for the penetration boots here as well, which is something that you don't normally see out of the supports too often. He's got good damage anyway in his kit. Doesn't necessarily need the penetration, but it looks like that's what they're looking for. Is a big burst combo more than anything else. One other issue for Kumbhakarna here, as somebody who knows him quite well, silences are the worst thing to go up against as Kumbhakarna.
Why is that?
Because your groggy strike can get cancelled out really easily when you're trying to use it. At the same time, if you get it just before you yawn as well, makes it very difficult for you to do anything and can really shut you down.
Another issue with the penetration builds is that they don't provide the mana that they used to. The mana is now on the cooldown boots, so as a very mana-hungry Guardian, it's going to force him back to the base quite a lot.
Can force him back to the base, but it can be a little bit... Now at this stage, it should be okay in terms of mana consumption. The shooters of focus do normally really help with that, as we can see soupskitchen trying to go aggressive here against the Omega, and we can still just position himself very high. But look at the other side of the map. That's why he's doing it, because Cognitive are rushing the Gold Fury.
This is a tactic we saw straight out of Envyus' playbook, and it's very, very positive that Cognitive is doing that. Ring there from Shing just to keep out KikiSoCheeky, prevent the steal, but Allied
Big play
in.
by Allied. Big play by Allied, but Cognitive get the Gold Fury nonetheless. Down in the air comes Freya. Now everybody's starting to look at Kiki as he's trying to protect his teammates. Wicked on the other side.
gustavY does finally fall down. Meanwhile,
Nice
now
lift.
Freya actually picks up the kill on Kiki. Allied, though, returns the damage back to Freya. 4 for 5 is the scoreline. But the Gold Fury going to Cognitive is definitely worthwhile.
Experience, though, still in favor of Team Envyus at this point. It's actually been a very up and down graph taking a look at it now. 1,200 is the gold difference, though, in favor of Cognitive.
Did give him a lead, but you can see the experience, though, went in favor of Envy because of all that, too. They continue to farm up and get the experience across the map.
We can just going to steal away the red buff here. Take it away from that Zeus is very important because that's going to be a lot of damage in these team fights.
Here's one of the problems, though, for Envy. They're getting their kills, right? Now, almost tied up, 5-4, lead still for COG. But Envy has yet to kill this Freya. And Paul is, we heard the analyst talking, Eric Cougar specifically, Paul is scary, Freya is scary, Paul on Freya is scary.
Shing there taking a little bit of poke there from Omega as he looks towards his mid camps, but these ones should fall the way of Envyus. And Fire Giant now having just spawned 10 minutes into the game, scores 5-4. Cognitive is doing everything they need to in this game, but I just don't feel it's enough to take it away from Envy.
Interesting in Shing's build here. It doesn't look like he's going to go for any sort of damage whatsoever. He's investing into a Hide of the Urchin very early on in this game. He's going to combine nicely with his ring and his passive if he can get those kills inside it. He needs to be a frontline tank.
Well, all of the damage is going to be coming out of the duo lane and mid with the Zeus, the Kumbhakarna, and the Freya. So he really doesn't need to do that much. He does have inbuilt power in his kit if he gets kills inside his ring of spears.
Yon goes off from gustavY there. He got aggressed on by Kiki one more time. Left-hand side, Chiron versus Freya still going at it. And Cyclone having a bit of a better time of it in this lane.
Well, that's what you'd expect. Chiron up against Freya. Chiron got a good early mid and not so much late game, but the push is certainly there.
Look at this, though. Shing looking for the pick onto Omega potentially here, but he's not an easy target to kill because, remember, Lord of the Afterlife to escape the ring, but he can also just walk through it anyway with his passive.
So slippery is that Osiris. 3 people forced to take out the blue buff.
I absolutely love the blink coming out here from gustavY. A blink Kumbhakarna is one of the scariest things to see coming at you because he'll blink right in front of your face and then hit you with that ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate can be initiated on straight away. It's very, very fast now. It used to be a little bit slower, so you can just force it. But Paul's in trouble here. Has to use the ultimate defensively once again. Reinforcements from Shing with a ring to pin them in there. gustavY on his way as well. Good defense work from Shing there, but in the mid lane, Weaken finds the kill on Freya. Nicely combined with Allied when Freya's trying to rotate to support his team.
Great rotations, counter rotations, I should say there, from Team Envyus, but that ring from Shing was absolutely perfect to get Freya out of trouble.
Really good position on it, and that's a trouble for the Athena and the Chiron to continue chasing. And I think that's why it's working well to have Paul on this Freya in the duo lane here. He's having a good opportunity to just wait for the defense to come through with the Kumbhakarna, with the Odin.
Yep.
Something I noted in the in the early game was Zeus is very, very vulnerable. He doesn't have any escapes, very little movement as well. He's just, I said, Weaken is going to pick on him with the Thor, and that's what has happened so far. This Zeus is sitting at 1 and 3.
He's sitting at 1 and 3, but look at that player damage, 6,000 so far, only 12 minutes in. It's pretty good. Freya on the left-hand side does get a double banish off as gustavY blinks in, looks for the yawn, but kick back from the horsey, trying to chase him down with the ultimate.
Beautiful
beat
beat.
to avoid the mess. Groggy strike available though. He does get the cleanse up, but he's trapped in the ring now. Will Cyclone fall is the question. Use the ultimate to stay alive, and it's gustavY who's in trouble here instead. Cyclone survives. No, he doesn't. Detonate from the Zeus.
We saw two fantastic mechanical plays coming out from there. One on the defensive side from Kiki with a great surprise taunt coming from around the corner. But ultimately, the Zeus is really what made it happen. Throws the shield out, bounces the chain lightning off of the shield, enough to get a charge. That's the detonate. That's the kill. Great mechanics coming out from the mid laner for Cognitive Gaming.
soupskitchen forced to use his ultimate there. Not a terribly big loss, but Envyus will know that's down in the near future. One thing I was thinking about between games was, what does Cognitive really need to ban out? What is the strength of Envyus' squad? And I couldn't think of anything, but looking at it now, I think the Athena from KikiSoCheeky should have been taken away. He's been fantastic with that. The taunts, he's always hit multiple members.
I agree, but then if you try and take something away from Kiki, he's got Sylvanas in the God Pool. He's played Geb as well this tournament and had very good times in it. He's just a very good support player overall. Very difficult to try and pin him down. I think you've got to really look at the picks and bans in the stretch of how do we deal with their whole composition and their play style. And this comp so far for Cognitive is working out a lot better than the last two games.
Heart of the Urchin completed on Shing now, already up 1 stack on that. That's going to give him a lot of physical and magical protections.
I'm laughing. Both junglers had the same plan to hide behind the rock and jump into the lane. The difference is Cognitive had vision on Weekend, so they're able to mess him up a little bit, send him packing, but that is an ultimate out of Kumbhakarna.
It was a little bit of a mess up there. Epic uppercut goes off, but missed time by Shing there. Didn't get the bird bomb exactly as he would have liked it. We could have seen potentially Weekend forced to use his hammer to get away from that, or actually go back to base so they could try and force a gold.
Omega here has picked up a Midgardian Mail second item. That is a really good choice here, as he's chased down by soupskitchen. Should be able to get away under his tower, but looking towards the late game as Envyus is, that's going to be effective against the Freya coming out of the dual lane, as well as soupskitchen.
soupskitchen is having a very good game. They're 1-0-1 so far, level 15, decent amount of gold as well, and he's actually starting to bully a little bit Omega in that lane. Obviously, blue buff is very important for both of those to continue lane dominance.
Early Midgardian Mail, this is an item that I absolutely love, but it is curious to see it this early on. Of course, built directly against basic attackers.
Well, the basic attackers, exactly, that's the key. We've got Freya, who's technically a basic attacker with a pulse. You've got Zeus, who uses them to apply his stacks for the detonate, and then you're still going to be dealing with Bellona anyway. So very, very wise decision-making from the experienced Omega.
Freya here looking like he's going into the Book of Thoth. Maybe a Warlock Sash might have been considered just to give him a little bit more survivability in team fights, but he's pretty much going pure glass cannon.
Left-hand side, Kiki going aggressive, gets the taunt onto Paul there. Paul, very patient, no, doesn't worry, just sits there, takes the poke. He knows where the team is in terms of the rotations coming out, so he doesn't force anything.
Look at soupskitchen here, just going full man mode, trying to invade Omega's speed buff, but Weekend is there to help out his solo lane, and soupskitchen actually might pay for his over-aggression, forced to use the Eagles rally. Weekend should pick this one up with a double tap. There is no mana left for soupskitchen. Gonna secure it with the spin to win.
You can actually see Omega walk back to lane like, okay, guys, you got this, because Allied was round the corner as well with the end hands ready.
That is just beautiful team synergy there, trusting your teammates to secure that kill.
Mid lane getting pressured as well by Envy here now because of that. Zeus now rotating back to the mid lane one more time. So the pressure will be relieved for now, but look at this. Envy starting to look towards the Gold Fury.
This is where kind of they've built their leads their last couple of games, has been either taking those Gold Furies or forcing fights with them where they've had the superior positioning.
And look at this, it doesn't look like Cognitive know much about this yet. Shing has an idea though. He's going to try and walk around wall, double tap hits from Weekend, putting the pressure on him. Shing has to back up, using this Raven's shield to keep himself alive for the time being to avoid some damage. Cyclone goes straight back to the Gold Fury.
He actually managed to pick that one up before it fully reset, so a little bit of health regenerated on that Gold Fury, but not tremendously much.
Throwback used there by gustavY just to avoid some damage there. Still has the blink available and his ultimate in case he needs to use it for the time being.
66 read the kills as we're 16.5 on this contest. This is match point for Envy. If they take this game, they take this series, and they are your champions. Cognitive, of course, trying to force a game number 4.
Weekend's taking a page out of Andy's book here, got the teleport online for that Thor, allowing it to have a lot of map presence. He really needs to do that to keep up with Shing, who's managed to get a nice couple of really good rotations.
Really good rotations. Keeping on the build there, Soul Eater and Transcendent available there for CycloneSpin. Shing in the mid lane though, going aggressive there, gonna get walled by Weekend. On the backside, gustavY goes up with the epic uppercut, gets a good groggy strike on Weekend. Weekend falls down to Paul, and Paul is in mid lane wrecking havoc on that Freya.
Kiki tried to channel onto Weekend, came right back down. Despite not being able to help out Weaken, he did deal some damage onto the enemies of Cognitive. Nonetheless, they're still coming in. Triple taunt into some damage from both him and Chiron through the wall. Look at that play by Cyclone.
Was doing work over the wall, but Paul still gets the kill on KikiSoCheeky's in trouble after leaping away onto the boy of Chiron. Allied with the in-hand brings him down. gustavY has to bravely run away as Omega has made the rotation to pick up Freya in the mid lane on that Zeus. They're looking for gustavY. He tries to turn and burn, avoids the silence nicely, but you can't avoid that shot from Cyclone. Another kill to Envy.
soupskitchen was chasing down Omega there, but Omega ran towards his teammates, towards safety. And now, Weaken's actually teleport into the water. He looks like he wants to fight soupskitchen. Takes a lot of damage, though, for his trouble.
He's back here with the teleport to help secure the Gold Fury. Set up for the defense here. Paul did great work on his Freya this game. He's back with full health, too. Still doesn't have his ultimate available, though, and it looks like Envy should get this.
soupskitchen looking to try and maybe steal, could get it with a Scourge, but Envyus gonna secure it. Paul and soupskitchen now chasing down Ally. Great banish here. The mid laner from Envyus could fall down in just a second. Bludgeon off the mark as Omega gets the stun, and now Weaken with the dunk.
No mana. He has no mana whatsoever, so there's no escape for soupskitchen. An additional kill to the side of Envy. They're showing their experience and their chance at winning Worlds.
Cognitive should have just given up that Gold Fury there. There were only 2 members of them available. Weaken still had his ultimate to get a nice stun and spin to win off. So, you know, Cognitive just a little bit of kind of inexperience there, not knowing when to give up certain objectives.
We saw 2 things happen. We saw 2 of the same things happen in those 2 sort of separate mini exchanges. Was that Cognitive get an amazing start, right? Shing gets that ring, traps down 1 target, and deals damage, and then Envy answers correctly. And the same thing happened after that Gold Fury. Envy has been putting on a show as to show everybody how well they can counter-engage, because it's not always about starting the fight, it's how it ends.
We've heard into pregame, actually Omega picking up a kill into Freya, team fight breaking down here. gustavY taken very low from Allied's ultimate, who is finally credited with a kill, and now Shing needs to get himself out of trouble here as soupskitchen teleports to the mid lane.
Omega considering going in even deeper and continuing the pressure, but instead, Envy backing off, gonna take the speed buff on the right and continue to pressure mid with the minion wave coming in now, and there's only soupskitchen here to defend.
And they're gonna take away the speed buff as well from Shing, which is super important to prevent as many rotations as Shing has been able to put out.
soupskitchen trying to hold the front line here. His reinforcements will be back soon with Shing. Ally getting some good poke pressure off for the time being. And I think Envy will take what they've got so far unless they feel like they can commit a little bit harder.
They're getting a lot of really nice poke damage out onto Cognitive, so Cognitive's already at below full health by the time the team fight actually properly breaks out.
Yeah, we've seen that poke strategy come out from Envy a lot. And, you know, it's to call it a strategy is really dressing it up. At the end of the day, Envy is just throwing abilities out, and if Cognitive want to get hit by them under their tower, go right ahead. And then, as you said, when it's time to actually team fight, nobody's at 100.
Surprised by Kumbhakarna's lack of damage at the moment. gustavY, he went for the penetration boots here in this game too. I expect him to be a lot higher up, but he's not been confirming much damage this game.
Even more surprising is Shing at the bottom. He did go the tanky build. gustavY there getting an ultimate down, but Shing looking for Cyclone slightly off the mark there with his ring, and Cyclone should get away for free. Weaken dunks down onto Shing, spin to win, doing some damage, but I think Envyus, they might not be able to find anything though.
Allied's coming from the right side.
Not going to be able to find anything there. Shing is just too tanky right now with the Hide of the Urchin online as well. Hard to bring him down. gustavY just going to zone them off for the time being. Keep the pressure on Omega. Still free farming over in the solo lane. Not worried about having to come over here. Doesn't even need the full teleport just yet. Omega's doing great work as the rest of Envy on this left-hand side. They're looking for someone in the jungle.
And down goes Freya there. gustavY there gets a mesmerize onto Weaken, but Paul is the one in danger here. Goes up in the ultimate, but Kiki does have to an ally, drops down the ultimate. Paul got nowhere to run, falls down. CycloneSpin credited with the kill.
I like the decision from Allied for the early cancel of that Pillar of Agony. He cancels it early, gives the kill to CycloneSpin, so he can just keep pushing this Chiron further towards that level 20.
Talking about pushing, left-hand side tier 1 tower falls, and still Envy march on. Right-hand side, Omega pressuring somebody over to defense, so soupskitchen is back, which creates a 4v2 over on the left.
We were talking before about Shing's damage, only 3,400, and you know, he has gone to the heart of the Urchin. He's gone relatively tanky. He does have the power boots online, and early game Odin is supposed to be putting out a lot of damage. It's no 667, but it's still underperforming.
He's got to be very careful, though, because the big keys with him in the jungle here is that if he uses the bird bomb, then he's going to be no escape away from the engagements here. He's going to be pinned in there, going to get toyed, going to get silenced, and there's no way for him to escape. That leap is very important for the Odin to move around the map. Envy are making him think very, very carefully about when to go in with it.
Back towards the mid lane, we can see Shing just trying to clear some minion waves, put the minions back up towards the side of Envyus, just pressure definitely on the side of Envyus. We can even see that out of the ward coverage, very, very deep, not worried at all about vision in their own jungle.
Talk about vision of Fire Giant. He's been contested. Epic uppercut comes out from Kumbhakarna at the back in the Fire Giant pit. They're looking for weaken. Athena is forced as well as the Fire Giant was pulled for a second. Shing jumps in the air, not by choice, but everything's fine for the time being.
You know, I'm looking for like a mystical mail or something. I don't know why Fire Giant would even be pulled at that moment. Nobody really in position yet. Nobody really vulnerable.
It was more the Kumbhakarna getting the epic uppercut, but right-hand side, there's pressure.
It looks like soupskitchen forced to use the ultimate here, uses the bludgeon for Omega, and KikiSoCheeky chasing him down. gustavY is here, however, weakened, and CycloneSpin allies here as well, coming around the back. Great positioning from the mid laner.
Ooh, Allied pulls the trigger a little bit early. He's surrounded by members of Cognitive, and he's going to be stuck in that ring. Shing, on the other hand, jumps right on top of Weekend.
gustavY does fall, the passive now finally falls, and now the pressure is still on. The fans are starting to clap because I think they realize Envy are starting to control this game once again. The golden experience lead is just starting to accelerate all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're sitting up 8K gold as far as that's concerned, and the kills are not too far behind with 7 in the lead for Envy.
Look at the experience though. You can see Hades in mid lane, level 19 to the 15 of Zeus. In the jungle, there's a 2-level lead for Weaken. In the solo lane, a 2-level lead for Omega. And it was the boys at COG that got the Gold Furies.
The itemization of Envyus is really, really good. Take a look at the Runic Shield coming out from Omega to prevent damage coming out of Paul's Freya. The Void Stone coming out from Ally as well, because he knows he's going to be the center of the team fight. He's going to be reducing magical protections on everyone on COG.
Well, Fire Giant is the next call from Envy, more than likely. They're trying to get people in here, waiting for Weekend to come back, first of all, with this Thor to get over here to be defensive.
And Weekend with the 416 slash line, really, really feeling powerful, going to feel even more powerful going into a Transcendence. So we're going to see a lot of damage and mana come out from this Thor.
Looks like Envy changed their mind. They're going to head over to the Gold Fury now, realizing they've got good wall coverage at the Fire Giant. They don't have to worry about potential of losing that one.
4 sentries around there. Nothing Cognitive can do there without the boys on Envyus, knowing Omega having a little bit of a slap fight over in the solo lane with soupskitchen. soupskitchen appears to be getting the better of it at the moment.
Yeah, Shing trying to do the red buff here, but Allied on zone duty at the moment as the Gold Fury has been pulled by Chiron over there and the Weekend. They will get the buff, and Gold Fury goes the way, once again, of Team Envy.
5-digit gold lead. 10K is always so scary.
It's very difficult to come back from once you hit that 10K mark. Kiki get rooted by gustavY here in the middle lane. Omega very happy to just box with soupskitchen, even though he appears to be doing very little.
You don't forget, he does have Athena in the background too, so if soupskitchen stays around too long, he could be baited into a bad situation. But soupskitchen staying here allows him to put some pressure on mid.
I could honestly watch this solo lane all day. These are 2 solo laners who both love to be aggressive and antsy. Right now in the mid lane, however, Allied knocked up in the sky right after his ultimate use, and now surrounded by Paul and Shing, but Allied in some trouble.
He doesn't have the dash available, but a great ultimate there from Weaker. Freya falls down. Paul, though, gets a return kill onto Kiki, and now Allied, he's just waiting for cooldowns, waiting for that dash. Can he get out in time? Shing looking for the kill, but the heal comes out from Allied. Very nice, and Cyclone with the snipe gets a kill.
Allied's not aiming for the truck. He's gonna jump into the fight. Absolutely love the decision coming out from Allied. CycloneSpin spins around just for some fun, but really here, I mean, this was a great showing from Allied. You mentioned it before. Allied knows how to play this Hades. It's really showing how well he knows the character by instead of jumping away, jumping in, using the heal, healing up himself and his teammates, and getting the kills.
What else it also showed, though, is the fact that these guys know each other very well. 4 members play regularly together for the whole year.
Oh, yeah.
They know about communication and they're executing things perfectly, supporting each other when it's required.
I thought Allied was dead before Weekend landed, and I think everyone did besides Allied and Weekend.
If that was PC and it was Weekend on Thor, then yes, he would have been.
Oh.
Just to be clear. He considered it himself yesterday.
I mean, when your own teammate says it, you know, yeah, you must know it yourself. But, you know, Weekend's really come alive on this Thor. It'll be interesting to see maybe, you know, when he's playing some PC, if he uses the Xbox controller when he has to play Thor. You know, Shing actually does that. He plays ranked with a Xbox controller.
I've been on the team. I've been on the team.
You don't sound too happy about that, Hindu.
No, he tried to play Circuit. It wasn't good times.
I mean,
26 minutes in, though, at the moment. 18-9 is the scoreline. 12,000 gold lead there for the boys, as you can see on your screen, and 22,000 experience.
You know, I actually like that strategy, though, of practicing on the PC with the Xbox, because theoretically, right, the PC players they have an advantage as far as turning around and whatnot. It's sort of like swinging a baseball bat with a donut on it. You give yourself a slight disadvantage to really practice against that, because cognitive gaming, well, they're here in the finals of the World Championships. There's not many teams out there that are better than them to practice against.
For sure, and also you can play ranked over there and get the pressure on. Eagles Rally, though, comes out from soupskitchen. He's under pressure still from the team. You see Envy continue to chase at a decent pace for the time being, because they want to work out positions of cognitive gaming. Taunt
Great
comes out.
taunt there from CoG gets 2 members in, but Omega chasing down Paul and Freya. Freya very low at this point. soupskitchen lands a bludgeon, and now Envyus chasing down the 3 of Cognitive.
Omega still going in. The dunk from Kiki is good from the ultimate to pick him up. Kiki delaying the back coming out there from soupskitchen for a second. Is on the backside. Chiron going to find Shing.
Oh, and as he lands, he gets hit with the arrow. Similar situation to what we saw in the Fnatic games earlier. Expect to see a fire giant very soon from Envyus.
soupskitchen teleports back in, trying to keep him off the fire giant for the time being. gustavY in support, but here comes Omega.
Omega looking to deal some damage. Great stun there, however, but sorry, that was actually just a mesmerize there from gustavY. KikiSoCheeky chasing down gustavY as Paul falls down to a weakened ally, dashing through the wall. soupskitchen as well, running away behind his tower. He's just trying to delay the boys of Envy.
And delay he may for a moment, but soupskitchen falls. Omega finds himself with his 3rd kill of the contest.
And with that, Envy can just start looking for the fire giant once again. You can see there's only Freya and gustavY alive. gustavY has some potential to disrupt at this fire giant. The only way to really secure it, though, is with the help of Zeus. And if Zeus can get there, maybe there's a chance.
It's already down halfway. I don't think Zeus is going to be able to hoof it over there quick enough. So just underneath half an hour, Envy find themselves above 10,000 plus in the way of gold, plus a fire giant buff. Ladies and gentlemen, Envy, they're making a stretch for the trophy.
Let's take a look at Golden Hand. I expect Envy to have quite a bit in there. Look for them to back, buy, and then go and keep pressuring these lanes. They've already got minion waves pushed up on the left-hand side and the middle.
Last 2 games we've really seen where Envy got a lead from or found something really big was off the back of where soupskitchen was positioned. He was either too far forward and the team weren't there to reinforce him, or Envy just did very good rotations, and that was another example of that there.
Cognitive got some good early pressure, but again, as I mentioned in the early game, this Zeus is super vulnerable. 2, 8, and 6 at this point. Freya has just been relentlessly picked up, and look at the damage Envyus is able to put out onto gustavY.
There wasn't a lot gustavY could really do there other than take it. Like I said, Cyrus is very strong against Kumbhakarna, but blinking from Shing, he's trying to make something happen. Ring is on Cyclone. They're looking for the pick on CycloneSpin. He can't escape it. On the backside, though, they don't care.
Wicked takes down Freya, and now gustavY being attacked by the members of Envyus. Great ultimate, though, to stop some damage coming out from Allied, who's forced to dash away. Wicked, though, has got himself a double.
Weekend's just looking for players, not even looking at the objective here, which is the fire, which is the Phoenix. Other members of his team doing all that work as it finally falls, looking towards the mid lane. No towers are on the map, so Envy can go directly towards these Phoenixes.
Envy in a really strong position in Game 3 in this best of 5. If they win this, they will be the world champions on Xbox One. Omega has a shot right now of being back-to-back world champion.
And on 2 separate platforms as well. This will be monumental. This will be, as Alex said at the analyst desk, historical. Not a player has done this yet.
3 Phoenixes down, minions pushing in every wave. If before the fat lady was starting to sing, she is now starting to shout. Cognitive, I don't think they could come back in this one.
No mistakes from Envy.
Look at gustavY.
No mistakes from anyone, though, right now. They're going to go back to base, buy up, finish off all their gold, pick up their buffs, and rotate back.
Yeah, gustavY feeling it a little bit. He had a Watcher's Gift, boots, a salve, and a Heartward. Sold it all, thinking that Envy was going to push in the base. Instead, have to buy some items.
It was the Heartward that was causing him issues, okay? Give him a chance. Maybe,
so he naturally had to sell the Sovereignty and the boots.
What he wanted to do was sell everything so he could rebuy, instead of getting the Heartward, get something else.
You know what? I'm usually on that side. I'm usually the guy trying to find some sort of ridiculous explanation, but there's one explanation. gustavY is trying to wiggle his way out of this one.
gustavY goes down for Envy again, just denying any opportunity.
Uzi got it. gustavY used to be Wiggles.
I'm not doing that.
gustavY used to be Wiggles.
Not doing that one quite that way. It was okay though.
I liked it.
Meanwhile, though, gustavY goes down, denying every objective. Cognitive have an opportunity to get back into this game at all. Fire Giant still on all 5 members of Envy, and well, it's going to be a rough ask.
30k experience, 20k gold, just not good numbers if you are a fan of cognitive gaming. The one saving grace is that they do have a Freya. If they could set up some damage for her, maybe if Shing could trap all 5 members of Envyus in that ring and we could get a nice Valkyrie's Discretion off from Paul, that might be enough. But at this stage, the XP and gold difference, the itemization coming out from Envyus, I just don't think it'll be enough.
And there's the third graph as well. It's just off the bottom of your screen called morale.
Yep.
And I think we took a look at that with gustavY. There's just no thought here for cognitive gaming. This one is all Envy's.
gustavY taking a lot of damage here.
Look at that.
Forced down into the passive. Weekend should pick this one. Actually, going to give that one credit to CycloneSpin.
He stole that. Cyclone stole that one, but why not? You're about to become world champions on Xbox One. Weekend ducks in. Shing tries to jump away. He'll go down to eventually. Eagles rally coming out defensively from soupskitchen, but it's not going to be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your world champions on Xbox are Team Envy.
Omega has now claimed 2 trophies in 2 years, and Envy, the #1 seed on PC, comes into Xbox and takes the world.
I think this is even more important for Allied, one of the most tenured Smite players, and Weekend as well. First title for him.
First title for quite a few of these players, to be honest, apart from Omega.
Yeah, a lot of these players, look how casual Omega looks. Everybody else is all smiles and ready to go. Omega's collecting his stuff and walking off the stage. He's ready to
So
go.
when's the next tournament? So when's the next tournament?
Pretty much just looking towards the next one. I'm sure that's what Omega's going to say, but really what an exciting match we had here. It really was just a lot of pressure being put on by the guys by Envy. Cognitive came out to play. They had a lot of cool stars. We even saw in game number 3 an all Cognitive beginning, but it's an all Envy end here at the Smite World Championships.
Allied gets to kiss the trophy for the first time, and not in disappointment this time, actually in excitement, because he's actually going to be able to lift this soon.
All right, so we're taking a look at Envy. Let's go talk to Kelly and Sean where they are.
Thank you so much, F. Congratulations, Envy. How do you guys feel about winning the first hi-rez Xbox Invitational?
Great.
So, Omega, this is your 2nd World Championship. You've now won on both consoles. What does this mean?
I'm just tired of playing Xbox. It was too easy. I'm excited to go back to PC. I mean, we didn't drop a game, so let's be real.
All right, well, let's get my lovely assistant, Sean, out here to give you guys your medals. Congratulations on your win, Weekend. Do you have the same feeling? Do you feel like Xbox might have been a little too easy?
I mean, we played for a month and just stomped everybody.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Congratulations, you guys, and we are going to be having the PC Finals with Enemy and Epsilon coming up very soon. Let's go back to the analysts.
Congratulations to Envy. They are your Xbox Invitational champions as they crowd around the trophy. Back here at the Alienware Analyst Desk, folks, it was a interesting situation going into the game. A lot of people thought Cognitive. I mean, I even had Cognitive taking that game. I wanted to see a game 4, you know, in all fairness. But the boys in blue did it, took the trophy, and Omega does something that hasn't been done in the history of esports.
Yep.
Because it really hasn't had an opportunity to be done before.
Not once.
He is a champion on PC and Xbox for the same game. That is something that you definitely have to appreciate, Scott. You were over the moon for that.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal to see a player who can play at that caliber on both systems. And really, when I look at it, this entire event was really just Omega's dominance. And it doesn't really shock me that he has the comments that he does, because he translates so well over to the Xbox scene that when I was watching him, I was like, man, it's like watching him on the PC. And to see him just be able to come in and dominate lane every single time, especially in a meta where, you know, Season 2 has been all about just tanky compositions with solo laners really being able to carry their teams. And Omega was the perfect carry throughout this entire event. I actually can't believe how good he is.
Cougs, what about you?
Yeah, he definitely showed up, and it's unfortunate that COG wasn't able to handle him, but there's a reason why he is a world champion, and there's a reason why Envy was #1 seed going to Super Regionals on PC.
Speaking of Omega, why don't you come over here, buddy?
Coming in here, Omega.
Hey.
All right, well, congratulations. You're the Azubu most valuable player. You had some choice words out there. Actually, it was like 4 words, you know, and then that was it. But congratulations, you know, and I want to say, as a console player, right, that did break my heart a little bit. But we will retaliate, and we will get our revenge on you one
kneecaps,
day.
baby.
All for the kneecaps. That's all we go for. But, you know, you did compete in Halo, right? So that actually helped you out quite a bit here. It wasn't even just your knowledge of Smite, but also your knowledge of playing on console as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I kind of had an advantage over a lot of people because I played like 7 years of competitive Halo, went to PC, and then, you know, obviously failed miserably at regionals. And so, yeah, I gave Xbox a try. So.
Well, congratulations, guys. Any questions for him?
Yeah, I have one. When you translated from the PC directly over to the Xbox One, as soon as your team kind of lost, what was it like to learn the Xbox One? Did you find any differences? Were there gods that were out of your favor, or was it all pretty much your same god pool?
A lot of gods were out of my favor. Gods that are hard to hit the Y-axis ability, so like Osiris is 2. Like, at this tournament, it was the first time I've ever played Osiris. I never played it in scrims. I never played it even in casuals. So anything with Y-axis, I was like no good with.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Okay, well.
That's pretty insane because I was watching your tier and I was like, oh man, that's really good.
Wow. Well, congratulations, man. Guys, give it up for Omega once again out there in the crowd, man. Thank you one more time. That's what Scott does. He does fist
I hate
bumps.
you. But good job.
That's what we do in console. You
Yeah.
should know better, Alex.
Yeah.
Mendez.
I do know that. Why do you have to say it with such conviction for? Like, you're so angry at me. All right, well, guys, that's going to do it for us here at the Alienware Analyst Desk for the Xbox One Invitational. Of course, guys, if you have never given Smite a try and you are an Xbox player, and there are millions of you guys out there, give it a try. Give it a try, seriously, because it is a fun game. And heck, if you ever thought about getting into MOBAs, well, you actually can now because it's on the Xbox and it works and it doesn't suck, which is wonderful.
Thanks, Alex.
No, listen.
That's our salesman, guys.
No, I'm being very honest with you. Like, I always said Smite was perfect for a controller, and I'm so happy that it is because it's amazing. I'm a console guy, right? Everyone who knows me knows that I'm a Halo commentator, and I love playing on console, and I always told you that. Did I not?
I know. The whole decision to bring Smite over to the Xbox One was actually just so Alex would play it.
That's right.
That was it.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Congratulations once again to Omega. And, of course, congratulations to all the teams who competed in the Xbox One Invitational. Seriously, give it a try, guys. You don't know what you're missing out on. But that's going to do it here for right now. Coming up next, folks, we have... Oh, man, I'm so excited for this one. It is going to be the grand finals, Enemy versus Epsilon. But